Hello, everybody, and welcome back. So, Sathra, let's jump back to you because you split off too. So now everybody is apart, so we can have little vignettes for each person. So, Sathra, you head off when Sosorova was like, "I'm gonna stay here and work on this cool killing machine, this giant destruction engine."
Dang.
And I don't know, it's interesting because I feel like when I think of gnomes, and this is all World of Warcraft's fault. Like, when did gnomes and machines start getting like put together?
In
right?
Warcraft?
Is that Warcraft? Because like, are there gnomes in Warhammer Fantasy?
No.
I don't think that I think they're just dwarves,
There are
right?
not.
There's
There are
halflings,
dwarves.
but there's no, they're dwarves.
Dwarves have guns and stuff.
Dwarves have guns and stuff, right? So anyway, yeah. I was just wondering if deep gnomes, I guess in the Forgotten Realms, deep gnomes don't have any, right? Mount Nevermore.
Okay,
those gnomes,
Dragonlance.
Dragonlance.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the Tinker gnomes. Yeah, good catch on that one. So I was just thinking about if gnomes in the Forgotten Realms have any of that stuff, but I think that's Lantan would be that.
Yes, Sverfneblin specifically not.
Yeah, they're just evil.
Weird. No, they're not evil.
Really?
Sverfneblin have never been evil.
Oh, it's the Durgar that are just
Durgar
dwarf
super
drow.
evil.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, Sverfneblin are just normal fantasy dwarves. That's what they are. But then normal fantasy dwarves are different.
Yeah. They're Scottish people, but with like big gold masks. Okay, all right. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So, meanwhile, Sathra, where do you go? What do you get up to?
Well, my immediate thought is that I need more arrows. So, this seems like the kind of place I might be able to find such a thing.
Mhm.
And my first thought is to go to the battlements where these red caps were yelling at us when we entered, you know?
Mm.
Like, because if they're gonna have anything to defend against, you know, like people at their walls, presumably they'll have to have ammunition for that thing. So I'm gonna go bug some red caps. That's my plan.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
Like,
All
hey,
right.
nerds, give me your arrows.
Okay. So, you head over to the gates to find these red caps.
Mhm.
And you walk in on what looks like practice or training or something. So you see first we pan up and you're kind of in the shot. Maybe we start low at your feet and then pan across as you walk up. And so we see a long line of what look like human skulls. And they're just lying in the dirt. They're all lined up. They have no bottom jaw. They're sitting in the dirt, lined up, maybe like 2 or 3 feet apart, right? And then behind them, behind each skull, there is a red cap. And they're all standing facing the skulls. The skulls are in front of them. They're facing the skulls. And then another red cap, slightly bigger than the rest, who is instead of wearing just like a tunic and then a regular bloody like hat, instead, this one has like a little like military cap that's covered in blood, and he's got epaulets, and he's just kind of like a South American like dictator. So he's this big with all these like medals on his chest, huge iron boots, and he has a riding crop in his hand, and he's walking back and forth in front of the group, and he's like, and so with those 3 lessons in your mind, I'm going to have you practice your skull stomping. Is everybody ready? And they're all like, sir, yes, sir. And he's like, very good. Now, lift your legs. And you see them all like lift one foot up, and they put their big boot over the skull. He's like, good lifting. You there, little higher. You, right foot, moron. And he's like, oh, sorry, sir. And like lifts his other foot, and he's like, all right, everyone, on 3. And one of them like stomps down and crushes the skull. And he's like, no, when I say 3, oh, you bunch of ingrates. And he like walks over and he like whaps the guy in the head with his little riding crop. And the guy's like, oh, God, sorry, sir. And he points at the fragments of the skull. He says, now pick those up. And the red cap kneels down to pick it up. And he turns. So when the red cap kneels down, he turns to the others and he says, this is how you stomp on a skull, everybody.
Yeah.
And he smushes the guy's head like a grape. Just and then he looks and he says, I love the smell of brains in the morning. Now you do it. And he watches, and everybody kind of awkwardly, like, some of them get it on the first try. One of them kicks the skull really hard and it goes flying. And he's like, sir, I lost my skull. And there's like just general chaos. And he watches for a minute and he's like, This is ridiculous. You're all worthless. And he turns around and he starts marching away, and he marches right towards you. And if you just step in front of him, like, he'll stop and talk to you, or you can just watch him walk by.
I think I would interject with like an impressive group of trainees.
And he stops.
Like, sort of sarcastic.
Yeah. And he stops. And he looks you up and down. It takes a minute because he's so short. And he says, he looks real like serious at you. He scratches his chin and he says, nope, too tall. Legs are too thin. I have no use for you.
I bet you that I can crush a skull better than any of those redcaps.
Is that so?
Yes.
He looks around and he looks at your legs and he's like, with those tiny toothpicks? I doubt it.
I said crush a skull, not with my foot.
As though there's any better way for crushing skulls. This is why the gods gave us feet, sweetheart.
I'll show you one.
Make a persuade check.
There we go. Persuasion. 9.
Okay. And he looks at you and he's like, I don't know. A better way to crush skulls. Look at these beautiful boots. And he holds them up. He's like, I've crushed so many skulls with these boots. I've crushed skulls on top of skulls. You wouldn't believe. My goodness. A better method. I don't believe it.
You say you've crushed skulls on top of skulls? What's the most impressive skull you've ever crushed?
He looks around. And he says, well, I got this medal. And he taps it in his chest. And it's literally just like and this would be the fun opportunity for us to like have a little throwaway. Like if you freeze frame on the medal, they're all references to different like D&D settings and stuff. So it's probably like a crinite, like 1 copper piece. And he says, he taps it, he says, I got this one for crushing a dragon's skull. Now the dragon was already dead, but their skulls are still enormous. And I crushed it with 1 kick. Turned the whole thing to dust.
I don't believe you.
He looks you up and down. And
a whole dragon skull under that 1 foot?
Yeah. I had to climb up a ladder and jump off of it. It was very impressive.
Is that really stomping, though? That's more just falling heavily.
You say that, and he looks at you, and he's like, huh, I didn't peg you for a scientist.
I like my murder to be specific.
And he's like,
You might like the skull crushing. Personally, fan of the skull removal.
Oh yes, there is. And he looks back and you can see.
They got the big sickles.
Yeah, they
right?
got the sickles, right? He looks back at where they've all like laid their sickles for skull crushing practice. And he says, well, that's why this man's army is a 2-pronged attack. The first, the blade, where we use to sever the head from the neck.
I would like, while he's talking about this, to just casually turn my my packed weapon into one of the exact sickles that they like, the same shape.
Okay.
They have. Just like he's talking about skull removal, I'm like, cool.
I'm not sure if the appropriate sound effect here is like a cartoonish, like a springing noise, or like a trombone going like, or something like that. But he's suddenly very interested. So you do that, and he's like, as we use these to cut the head. My God, it's beautiful.
Isn't it?
He just stares up at it and he says, where did you get that? I need one.
Actually, they're very easy to acquire. All you have to do is sign a verbal contract, so to speak.
And he puts his hands up and he says, I have to tell you, we're already under contract with Maggie. So if you're here looking. You're going to have to get with the Red Caps Union. They make all of the agreements for us.
No.
I can't.
I am not here to poach your glorious army from Mad Maggie. I was merely hoping to acquire some supplies from you.
What? And he puts his hands up. What do you need supplies for? You already have the greatest sickle ever made.
Yes, but it's also the greatest greatsword and the greatest bow and the greatest quarterstaff and the greatest flail,
Yeah.
And then back to the sickle.
Right.
But it doesn't make its own ammunition.
Ah, so you are trying to get your hands on some fireballs.
Yes.
I have a question for you then. Can you turn that thing into like an enormous cannon?
Unfortunately, it has to be able to be wielded by a single person. I think maybe enormous stomping boots, perhaps.
And,
but that would be the extent.
He shakes his head and he says, well, unfortunately, my unit. He looks back proudly at these like idiots who are trying to. One of them cannot break the skull, but has managed to smush it like a good foot under the ground. And so just keeps stomping on it, and it just keeps getting mushed deeper and deeper into the ground. And he's just like, I can't do it, like smashing it in. And
this is the moment where I'm like, do you want me to?
And he turns back and he shakes his head. He's like, they're all inept. Don't worry about it. He says, inept or no, we're really more of a close quarters affair. There's plenty of stuff for the ballistas laying around, plenty of catapult material. You throw an engine block at somebody, they're not going to forget that.
So wait, you man the walls with no ranged weaponry?
And he just looks around. We have the most important weapon of all. You want to know what it is?
Of course.
Come here. Like lean in. He's like, gravity.
So you just drop things?
Not things. We jump.
So you jump off the wall?
Yeah, onto people. And crush them into the ground. It's great.
I mean,
if you excavated the land outside the gate, you would find layers of dead people with no head.
That's not a terrible plan, I suppose.
Listen, I played in my strengths.
Those strengths are stomping and cutting.
Yes. Those are the two prongs of our two-pronged approach. You understand. You're a tactician and a scientist.
Yes, some have called me a genius. Now,
I can see why.
Now, do you know where I might acquire? Maybe not from your unit, illustrious as they are, but from somewhere else around here, some ammunition.
And you can see him like ponder it, like he's legitimately like, maybe, like he's trying to think, and he says, well, if you're willing to, go scavenge, especially for weapons or armor, welcome to Avernus. It's a battlefield. I'm sure somebody had an archer division. These things, you could try to find them, but your best bet's going to be the Wandering Emporium.
And this is a shop of some kind, a storefront.
Listen, if I wanted synonyms, I'd go and buy a thesaurus. You get the gist.
If it's wandering, how does one find it?
I don't know. I only ever had it find me. And even then, only once or twice. Technically, I think I'm banned because I didn't wear pants one time, but whatever.
Were you still wearing the iron shoes?
Of course. And he looks down. You never met a red cap before, have you? We never take the shoes off.
How do you get the pants over the shoes?
And he just stares like you're asking him a question that no one has ever asked him before. Yeah, so he just looks like, wait, what? I don't, that's not I don't know.
Well, you've been a great help.
And he nods and he says, soldier, I don't think I caught your name.
Sathra.
He puts his hands out. Puts his hand out and he's like, Wazik. General Wazik.
Yeah.
And he shake his hand. And he says, I got to get back to drilling these losers. But, if you're interested in a little bit of private drilling, we could always meet up later and...
No, thank you.
Hey, you got to shoot your shot, right? And he turns around and he's like, all right, maggots, let's go. And he storms back over there.
Just walk away.
Okay, so let's go back to Bryn. Bryn, when you lost November, where did you go? What did you do?
I don't think she really does anything. I think she just sort of like mills about for a little while.
This is perfect. Okay.
Like, yeah, I think she just like sits down. Except, you know what? She's mad at the shield. So at some point she takes her shield off and she like shoves it into the ground a little bit and then perches on it like it's a stool. And just sits there. Okay. And like cleans her mace.
I'm not going to ask you to stop using me as a stool. But
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I don't know. What are you saying? I
Mortals.
So as you're talking to your shield, you're sitting in a pile of junk. You're sitting on the shield.
That's all she does. She's like, I don't know.
He gives up eventually, and you're like, I don't know. You're eating some ration. Something about the nose. If any of you have eaten even rations you brought here from the Prime Material, they taste terrible. Like they've gone bad because of. You can still get nourishment from them, but you can't get pleasure from eating them. So yeah, you're just eating like, I don't know, a piece of jerky or something. Like is sitting there. You hear a voice from behind you, a fairly sort of prim voice. You hear, excuse me, madam.
There is a moment where Bryn just like sighs and she's like, just doing a different voice isn't going to make me think, oh, sorry. And then turns around and looks at, sorry.
Yeah. Excuse me, madam. And you turn and look and you hear,
I totally nailed you. It was me. It was me, sucker.
No, you turn around. You don't see anything. You see like a pile of junk with some bones in it. And you turn around and you're like.
She turns around several times and then she sighs and she's like, hello?
And then you hear again like, yes, it's me, just over here. Excuse me, ma'am.
Can I get a left or a right?
It's behind you. Like if you're sitting facing the open area, you turn back around, you hear the voice.
Yeah.
And you when you turn to look, you see the bones again and stuff, and there's like a bit of a shift, and there is a glow that emerges from the like a hole in the wall of rubble. You wouldn't have noticed it before. Your eyes just sort of passed over it. And so there's this glow, and then from it, you see a human skull, right, floats up out of this hole, and it is wreathed in greenish flame, and it has two sparks. And what you notice, it's got a bottom jaw and an upper jaw, and when it speaks, the jaws like move, and it has very, very nice teeth for a severed skull, except it's missing a tooth in the front.
It's very specifically missing one.
Yeah, it's missing. It's big, obvious like gap.
Yeah.
And it floats out, and when you look at it, he says, oh yeah, oh my, yes, you're staring. I'm sorry, I'm not quite the man I used to be. I've suffered some downgrades of late. I was wondering if I could ask you for some help. You seem like a good sort. I'm so sorry. Where are my manners? I'm Barnabas, formerly of somewhere, presently of this pile of junk. And you are?
Bryn Aram, current acting commander of the Flaming Fist. She's like says that as the question, trying to remember like what her title is now.
Yeah. So Barnabas says,
of not here.
Well, yes, I had assumed that you were a Prime Material as well, as was I for a time.
I'm sorry about that.
And
happens to everyone eventually, I've been told.
Yeah, he nods and says, yes, well, tragic backstory aside, I seem to have gotten myself into something of a pickle.
Is it directly related to your current location?
Well, that's a more complicated question. Do you mean my living in a junk pile? Do you mean my temporary relocation to this blasted plane? Perhaps you mean more generally my state of confusion and sadness.
I was mostly aiming for the first two, but it could be related to the third one.
He says, yes, well, I don't remember much of my time as a fully bodied individual like yourself. I do miss having arms and legs, I'll say that much. But no, my problem now is derived predominantly from, well, I'm going to need to be honest with you, and I'm going to trust you not to laugh. It's an issue of vanity, my lady. You see, I'm quite fond of my dental apparatus. And he clicks his teeth together. But as you can see, the hard work has been damaged.
Yes. So how can I help you? I don't have any spare teeth. That was a previous character.
He says, oh gods, no, I would never ask you to give up one of your own teeth. That no, nothing quite so gruesome.
But I think there are some skulls back there, and she like gestures back towards the wall.
I'm afraid, milady, that my vanity demands that it's my own tooth. You see, I paid quite a lot for it back in my living days, and I would so much like to have it back. It's not a complete set without it, you see. Unfortunately, I don't presently know where it is. All I remember is being struck from the side by something heavy and metal and knocked spinning, and when I came to, my tooth was missing.
Here in the junkyard.
Yes.
That's where you lost your tooth.
I have reason to believe that
junkyard.
Yes, you can see why I'm having such trouble.
I can.
Frankly, I've been hiding my face from the others. I'm quite
what's
ashamed.
Your attachment to this particular tooth? Emotionally, because I know physically none.
Well, what a strange question. What is your attachment to your eyeballs or your skin or your lips?
Fair, my eyeballs perform a function for me right now. Do you eat? Do you need your tooth? Are you particularly concerned about your ability to whistle?
Madam, please, my concern is entirely aesthetic.
Well, maybe you should just accept who you are now and consider it a feature rather than a flaw.
Madam, I spent a great deal of time coming to terms with the fact that I no longer have beautiful flowing hair or perfect clear skin as I once did. Gone too, my full and sort of pouty lips, my long, graceful neck, my beautiful, freckled shoulders, my strong but delicate arms.
You seem like you haven't quite moved past
No,
those.
I'm entirely over it. I'm fine. I'm a skull now, and that's just how it goes. I have this lovely halo of flames and what have you. I would like to have all my teeth. If I can at least hold on to that. Maybe.
If I find your tooth, I will certainly return it to you, but I don't think I'm... No offense, but there are more pressing matters than a missing tooth.
Well, yes. I mean, you're in hell after all.
It's less about the issue of me being in hell and more about, and then she just points at El Terrell.
He nods and says, that's the trick, isn't it, milady? Here you and your friends are, all alone in this terrible place. Don't you think making a friend might be of some help?
Like I said, if I find your tooth, and while I'm waiting, I'll certainly help you look for it, but don't think I'm going to spend derail my current mission to look for your missing tooth.
Hardly a derailment to stop and help out a new friend. But if perhaps you wanted some information about the proprietress of this junkyard or some other features of this most terrible place you've found yourself, perhaps I can be of service. So, if you want to go looking for my missing tooth, if I were you, would start with the red caps. They're troublemakers. I know Mad Maggie likes to have them around, but, well, there's a reason they don't call her a perfectly sane Maggie, isn't there?
Why don't you start out by pointing out to me while I'm waiting for my friends? We'll occupy this time. Point out to me where you woke up. That seems like a place to start, and then we can trace the trail from there.
Very good. This way. And he floats to another part of the junkyard to show you. And yeah, I mean, this whole place, he floats for a little ways and then stops and turns and looks at you. And he says, "Here we are, madam, the scene of the crime."
Looks like a junk pile.
Yes, well, you're going to find that's very much the case around here.
Yes. Well, and she sort of shrugs. She was never the investigating sort of cop. She was the beat people over the head cop. But she's had to show up to crime scenes before and pretend to be the investigating cop. Yeah. So she goes around and she picks up things and she's like, yes, I can see the trail of destruction. It looks like you were indeed fiercely hit over the head by a mighty foe. And pretends to look while sort of looking. I'm not.
Yeah, okay, make an investigation check.
Yeah. It's, this is not her strong suit, but she gets I get a 19.
What a great detective you are. So, yeah, you look around. There are a bunch of like very flat, very even, stompy boot prints around here. And then they head off in a particular direction. And so you look around, and then Barnabas the Floating Skull says, well, have you got the trail?
There's a moment where Bryn looks down and she's like, yeah, I do. And she surprises herself.
Just like,
yeah. So he says, he's like, jolly good. Well,
I guess pretending to be a cop for long enough has made me kind of, oh no.
And he looks and he nods once as if like, very good, I've turned this over to you. He says, right then, Talio, on your way. I'll just be back in my lair, waiting.
She sort of gives him the skull this look and is like I said, I'll keep looking while I have literally nothing better to do, and mumbles as she walks away.
Yeah, excellent, good.
This is the part of the quest where it's like you must wait X amount of time before you can go back to the initial quest marker.
Yeah, she's like, come on back to my house later. I'm still working. You're like, God damn it! I saved. I left the area. I came back. Yeah. I've zoned in and out like 6 times. So yeah, the skull floats off, and you hear in your head,
I don't know why you're wasting time with these fools. You could kill that skull, show the redcaps who's boss, and we could seize control of this place. Think of what we could do with those engines.
Anything that is not directly murdering is a waste of time, correct?
It's not the murder, it's the power afterwards. So people know that you're willing to do what must be done to seize control. Have you
not noticed that this entire plane of existence is locked in an eternal blood war because no one is strong enough to claim power, and you really think you're going to come in and change that? You trapped in a shield.
I won't be trapped forever.
Sure.
Meanwhile, he's just thinking like,
sure.
Yeah. Right. Meanwhile, he's thinking like, did I notice that Avernus is a totally sick battleground that goes on forever and ever? Yeah, I fucking noticed, you asshole. Of course I did. It seems totally cool. I wish I could get out there and join it, but I'm stuck in this shield. It's like, just seething.
Like story arc final boss battle is fighting this. Is like
Gargoth?
Fighting the pit.
Yeah, very well could be. Yeah.
That's it. That's her story.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a magical tap shoes situation, right? Where it's like you have to fight him without the use of the shield so you can realize that the power was within you and it wasn't the shield after all.
No, I'm pretty sure literally in this case it's the shield.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think that everybody kind of like has their little like side time. You get these little hooks. So Sorovo, you help the birds and then kind of like help them with their engines. I think that we all end up back together again in front of the forbidden garage. Now the garage is it's the biggest. It's like a hangar basically. It's a big metal building that's all like everything's all sort of screwed together and riveted. It's a big building. And in it, I have a couple more. There are a couple more vehicles. They have let's see. They have a Devil's Ride and a Tormentor as well. Let me see if I can find those. I think the Devil's Ride is the motorcycle. Let's see. Yeah, baby. So they got one of these in there in the middle of being worked on. And they've got a Tormentor that they are also working on, which is one of those guys. There you go. So those are in now. The thing with the spiky wheels that kind of looks like a combination of a bug and a tractor. It doesn't have the weapon thing, the weapon array on the front, so it's missing the harpoon and the like grabbing the claws on the front. And then the Devil's Ride doesn't have any wheels, but you can see the two of them are piled up nearby, like they've just scavenged them. So yeah, you show up there. We see all of you kind of like walk in, and then and then Lulu flutters down to rejoin the group. And I think she says when she arrives, she's like, let me find her. Here, there we go.
Oh my god, you guys, I saw so many cool things. There's like wheels everywhere and bones and little bits of metal and there's blood and piles of stuff and there's so much going on. It's really interesting. Did anybody else see anything cool?
Yeah, I found this really big. It was like one of those, but way bigger, and I made it work all by myself. Anybody else do anything that good? Probably not.
Definitely not. I looked for a tooth.
I impressed.
Oh, I've got a spell for that. Why didn't you just... Come on, I'm a wizard.
It's definitely a waste of your magic.
Why?
Oh, well, we can do that later then.
I found out that some birds are trying to overthrow or in some way make more chaotic the social or military structure of the Redcaps.
That does not seem difficult.
They want me to do it for them.
Well, as long as you didn't promise that you would. Ha ha, because it's hell. Get it?
Huh?
As long as you didn't promise that it's hell. He's a devil.
That's relevant because?
Do you remember the guy, Favius Creek, the contract with the devils, where you promise to do a thing like give away your soul, and it comes binding with fiendish magic.
Well, he signed a contract. I didn't sign anything.
Yeah, you only have to... That one was in words. That one was written down. It doesn't have to be. Like, Saffron probably never signed a contract. Did you?
You're muted.
I'm not, though. Am I? Hello?
No, you're good.
Now you're not.
Hello? You're back.
Okay. Technically, no. I never signed anything.
Well, I didn't feel comfortable agreeing to straight up murder anyone just as a personal morality standpoint. So no, I didn't promise that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's good. I was only joking, but it's all good. Did we find out? Lily, did you work out?
I did promise to take care of him, though. Do you think he wants some tea or a blanket?
I think he only wants one thing, and that is stomping skulls or decapitating enemies.
I mean,
spare heads.
Maybe he can stomp the skulls of the birds that wanted to kill him. Would that be taking care of him? I don't know. I'll figure it out later. I'm so tired.
Right. Okay. Well, Lulu, turns out the birds don't know anything. No, not the birds. the birds are the ones that these are Kenku. They didn't really know anything about you. They seem to think Maggie could probably fix your memories, but I could have a look if you wanted. Sometimes you're not always conscious of the things that you're thinking. There are things going on behind the scenes. It's not a subconscious that's, as a framework, has been slightly debunked over the years as we've worked on divination magic and detection of thoughts. That's not the way that they're structured anymore. But
didn't Maggie, isn't that what we were waiting for? Didn't she say that she was going to help Lulu with her memory? Isn't that why we've been... No?
Oh, I got a bit distracted. Everything here's a bit weird. Like more weird than the outside part.
Well, I mean, I think we are just waiting on Maggie, aren't we?
I mean, unless she
we could
got distracted by something that wasn't fixing Lulu's memory, but I think that's what she said she was going to do when she left.
Yes,
and told us not to bother
she's
her.
preparing whatever she needs to do to like.
We could find that tooth that you were looking for, Bryn, easily enough with a locate object. Yes.
Is it a specific tooth, or do you just need a tooth?
If I needed a tooth, I certainly would have already gotten one. No, it's a specific one belonging to a floating skull who said he needed it. I was bored. I didn't really have anything else to do.
Right.
Bryn just sitting around talking with skulls.
It was either that or I had to talk to my shield, and well, that's significantly unpleasant.
He seems like he's probably a real jerk, especially over time.
The shield or the skull?
Well, I haven't met the skull yet, so I don't know.
Well, this way, and she like heads over to wherever she met Barnabas, the floating head.
Okay.
So, Barnabas, I followed the trail and then, well, I met up with my friends because, again, that's more important than your missing tooth. But one of them says they are a wizard. Well, they are a wizard, but they say they can help you locate your tooth.
It's such a weird, like, accidentally backhanded thing to say. Like, this is my friend, Distracted Elf. She says she's a Twitch streamer.
It's
because it's true.
Proving my point.
Wrong.
So you.
What did I say to the Kenku? Being thanked for actually doing magic is like, I guess they're a wizard.
Yeah, right. Yes.
What do I deal with?
All the time.
So you're standing. This is the thing. You're all standing in this little clearing, and Bryn is talking to the side of a pile of junk, and then from inside a hole, you hear, "Oh yes, hello. I'm afraid I won't be coming out. But we can talk if you'd like."
Are you missing another tooth and are embarrassed about it?
No, just the one.
What if I say we'll all close our eyes and look the other direction?
No, I need to see it.
That's the problem. Do you want your tooth or not?
I do, but everyone except the wizard, close your eyes.
November has already like put her head in her hands, and you can see like her head moving forward and then jerking. Like she's just like.
November's just falling asleep on her feet.
Right. Okay. Bryn turns around, closes her eyes.
Yeah. So there's a moment, and you hear the kind of like humming, kind of magic levitation sound, and then light, and then the skull floats up out of the hole, and looks around.
Oh.
And then says to you, "Oh, well, I expected something a bit taller." That's my fault. I mean, clearly you couldn't be taller if you wanted to be. I suppose you could cast a gigantification spell upon yourself, or Anyway,
higher shoes. So it's that one.
The skull chuckles and says, "Oh no, we've got quite enough tiny people with big shoes around here." Yes. So as I'm sure your friend Bryn explained, my name is Barnabas. I was at one time a fabulous wizard myself, of some renown. I've forgotten much of that, mercifully, but yes, I've made my employment here, in this camp. The redcaps don't like me much, and I suspect one of them hit me with something and stole my tooth.
Well, they probably didn't really like anything, just killing. That's what they do. All right. So what are we getting out of this transaction early? It is a spell, spell slots and stuff. I could use it for.
And
I don't know.
He looks around and he said, "What do you mean? I didn't realize that this was going to be a fiscal exchange. Your friend said that she was going to help me. I'm a person in need."
Bryn, looking the other way, is like, you did talk about giving us information.
Oh, it's like a information-y thing. Actually, that'd be really, really helpful. Yeah, great. Okay. So that's the 1, 2, 3. Were you a human?
Also, you pointed out that friends help friends. So if we're your friends, then you would help us.
Yeah, and he says, yes, of course. I know all sorts of useful and interesting things. I would be more than happy to let you plumb the depths of my mind, but first...
Like literally, or do you just want to talk? Because, I mean, I could just do that now if you...
And he says, tooth first, magic later, friend.
Okay, so, back to the question at hand. Human, skull-ish shape, but bigger. Why did you become bigger when you became this? That's weird.
Yeah, exactly. I take up the same amount of space as I did when I was the whole body.
Yeah. Why do flame skulls get bigger?
Yeah, he says, I failed to see how any of this is relevant.
Well, I can't locate the exact one if I haven't seen it, but if it's on the opposite side of your mouth to the one that you have, then it should be the closest object for detection purposes. That's all. This is going to count. I'm looking for an incisor, a molar.
Yeah. Right. So looking at the skull's mouth, you can clearly see what tooth is missing.
All right, sweet. Let's have a look. Yeah, I cast locate object for the closest approximation of what that missing tooth would be. Pow.
Okay. So describe her name and object familiar to you.
So like the opposite side, this one, basically.
Yeah.
The nearest object of a particular kind. So unfortunately, there are other skulls around. So there are nearer teeth than this person's tooth. And you twig to like a half dozen of them within 1,000 feet of you.
Okay, lots of skulls in this junk pile.
It says alternatively, it can locate the nearest object of a particular kind, but it can also be specifically...
You missed the part where if it's a specific object, you have to have seen it up close.
I have to have seen it. Yeah. Oh, there are full sets with teeth left. Can't you just use someone else's tooth? There are like hundreds of skulls here.
He looks at Bryn like, Bryn, did you not explain this to him? And he says, he says to you, Bryn, he says to you, he says, they clearly don't understand. I thought you'd explained this to them.
Well, it's hard to explain something I don't understand, but no.
And Barnabas, the floating skull, turns back to you, Sosorovo, and says, I need this particular tooth. If it was any tooth at all, I could have just found one myself. I'm beginning to feel as though you are only here to mock me.
I think it's at this point I go to like walk back over to where the Redcaps were hanging out and do some interrogating. Like this magic way is working great. I'm gonna go talk to the Redcaps.
Okay, so Sathra heads off.
Yeah, can I with my hands over my eyes, but like looking down, try and because you said that there was a boot path.
Not here. No, this is Barnabas's like house.
Bryn could take you to it. She was like,
Bryn knows that the Redcaps have the tooth. That's like clear and obvious, or at least that's the next step. Yeah.
I'm operating on very limited information. Someone asked me to find a tooth. I used the tooth finding
Totally. Yeah, exactly. And then they specified, no, it's got to be this tooth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Bryn's into 9, so she didn't necessarily explain all of this. She was like, yeah, he's looking for his tooth. And you were like, oh, I can find a tooth. She's like, great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So Sathra, you're the first one to walk off. So everybody else is following you.
Is Wazak still drilling his squad?
No. Some kind of like red cap sporting event has like sprung up in one of the open areas. and they seem to be playing some kind of game that looks like it might be cricket, but with elements of like MMA mixed into it. There's a lot of crotch punching. But then also some kind of complicated like stands on either side, and there's like a paddle, and there's some kind of game going on, and there's 2 sides. Each side has like 5 or 6 red caps on it, and they're all holding little pennants that have little like sigils on them, and they're like waving and shouting, and then there's the teams of them smashing up against each other and fighting.
Okay. I walk up to the field where this is happening, and I loudly call a timeout.
Okay. All right. So you just walk out in the field and like timeout, and everybody looks around, and we cut over to a red cap that is wearing the big boots and the blood colored hat, but also a black and white striped shirt. And everybody looks at this one red cap, and he looks at you, and he looks at the group, and he blows a whistle and waves, and he's like, "It's good. 5 minutes, everybody." And they all kind of split. They walk over, and
the ref's attention.
The various teams split up, and they go over to their sides, and one of them is acting as like the coach, and starts like coaching each team, and then the ref, you want to like,
I want to get the ref's attention.
Yeah, okay. So clomp, clomp, clomp. He walks over, and he kind of looks at you, and he's like, "You're out of uniform."
Well, I hate to be an interruption to the event. Just looking for a specific object that I think one of your people has, and them having it in their pocket would be an illegal, addition to the game. So I'm just thinking that if you give it to me, then we can just keep things moving. We don't have to call like an official sanction or like a hold or anything.
Make a deception check.
Deception 17.
Okay.
Oh man, so close to that crit.
So he nods as you're talking, and he's like, cool, all right, hang on. And he gets his whistle, and he blows it, and it's like one of those, like, I don't know if it's Inca or Aztec, those like horrifying death
screaming whistles. Yeah.
So he blows it, and I think it literally is like just the sound of a human going ah, as he blows into it, and everybody looks, and he's like, "All right, everybody, new rule." And he looks at you, and he's like, "What's the object?"
It is a tooth.
He's like, "All right, everybody, new rule, no teeth." And immediately, one of the red caps, like with his hand, starts trying to pull his teeth out. Another one picks up a rock and goes like trying to aim it at his face.
No extra teeth.
And they're all trying to figure out how to yank each other's teeth out so they can play by the rules. And the ref looks at you, and he's like, "There we go, no teeth."
No extra teeth. The teeth they already have is fine. Just they can't have extra, more than they would have in their mouths.
And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he turns, he blows the whistle again. They all stop. And he's like, "No extra teeth." And we cut over, and there is literally a dentist chair, like a scavenge. The bit requires one. There's a scavenge dentist chair. One of the red caps is in it, wearing like a mouth thing. Another red cap is wearing a full like dentist's like scrubs with one of the little mirrors on his head, and he's holding dental tools. And there's a third one who's dressed like a hygienist, and she's got like a beehive haircut, and like they're all standing there, and they look over at you. And the one who's just somehow had all his teeth removed looks over with like blood all over his face, and he just gives a thumbs up, like, and he turns back, and he's like, "Put it back in, doc." And the dentist's like, "All right," and just starts putting his teeth back into his mouth. And while all this is happening, who has the highest? I think it's November. You have the highest passive perception.
Yes, I do by a lot.
My
passive perception is 22.
You spot one of the red caps standing over by the side, and he's passing something to another red cap that's like in the audience. Like he's pulled something out and he's handing it to him all like surreptitiously.
I like trailing a bit behind with the rest of the party who's decided to actually go on Bryn's information and follow Sathra, who just like got the thing before us. I like point and I'm like, "Those ones.
Mm-hmm.
You over there." And then
I see you like pointing to somebody on the teams, like handing stuff into the crowd.
I don't think I can run right now.
Yeah, I hear you. I see you pointing, and I go,
Ref, he's trying to hand something off to a spectator.
And he looks and he goes, and he blows the whistle one more time, and he points. Everybody looks at him. He points to that one who looks up at him, and he just shouts, "Contraband!" And they all pull out sickles. All of them, the audience, the crowd, even the one that was getting handed the thing. He looks down and he pulls out a sickle, and the one still in his little like uniform grabs the bag and runs for it. And he just like, and like books it out into the piles.
Bryn just takes off after him.
Yeah, you're gonna run after him?
Little fucker. Like, she's taller. She's got long legs.
How far away is he?
Adam,
yeah.
I would like to cast Dimension Door.
It sounds like everybody wants to spring into action. So
I'm not gonna spring into action. I'm gonna sit down and hold my dog. Good.
Let's just have everybody. Let's have everybody roll initiative just to see the order in which things occur.
Are there tokens on here?
No, you can just roll.
10.
Okay.
Hang on.
Initiative, so +1.
Oh.
Woo! Away he goes.
Well,
boy.
Okay.
Pretty fast.
So let me actually mark the order here. So Red Cap, Sathra, Bryn, Sosorovo, and November.
I don't even care how fast he is. I can move like 300 feet in one turn.
So Red Cap got a 20, and then November got a 21.
Mm-hmm.
Sosorovo, you got a 10.
I mean, the Red Cap got a 21. It was a 20 plus 1.
And Sathra, well, no, but that's the result. It's still 21. Okay. That's how math works. Sathra, what did you get? Sorry, a 9?
9.
Okay, and then Bryn got a 10. Okay, so I guess also I should roll for the rest of the Red Caps too. So this Red Cap, and actually, as this Red Cap turns on the back of his uniform, it has in big yellow letters the word Grubba on the back of his uniform. And weirdly, all of the players have the same number. They're all player 69. All of them.
Nice.
Nice.
So Grubba, player 69, turns around and runs for it, or intends to. So the team is the rest of them. So November, you get to go first, though. You see him be like, uh-oh, Grubba's out of here. And he, whoop, turns around to run.
I've been informed that I ought to roll
right, because you're exhausted.
disadvantage.
Yes, that's right. Roll again. You may not.
I get a 3 instead.
All right, you're at the bottom of the list. So you watch, and in an alternate universe, you could have caught them, but you can't. Okay, so the first 2 actions are just Grubba and the team. They just rush out. It's just like all of them. It's all of the Red Caps that are here. So there's like 10 of them, I guess, 10 or 15, and they all gather together and they rush off to get Grubba. So Bryn and Sosorovo, it is your turn.
I think, Lauren, that Sathra goes, Bryn, take my hand. You know, like prepping for this next move.
Yeah.
She reaches out.
Okay.
So
and
Sosorovo,
then she takes Sathra's hand.
Sosorovo, they have gotten out of line of sight from you. So if light of sight is important, then you got to give chase. But they've run around a pile.
Sure. Did I get a sense that Grubba had a tooth? Did they at any point become the closest target with a tooth?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's a tooth. A tooth is being passed back. Was being passed back and forth between those two.
That's fine. God, I don't want to waste spells on this. This is.
I'm doing it.
All right, fair enough. Actually, you know, it would be really funny. I cast slow on all of them. All 15 of them.
Well, so this is the thing. Now we're not using a map, but my thought here is that they got away from, like, you can't see the group, like they ran off. Like,
okay, don't worry about it then.
Yeah,
it
like
was
I
just
like
for a goof.
I like the idea, but you'll have to get line of sight on them first. So like here's kind of what I was envisioning, right? If this is the, I don't know, Avernus ball pitch, right? And there's like the little stands they've put together. this is a tiny little clearing surrounded by big kind of glacial like piles of junk. So it's almost more like a room with no ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so if y'all are like over here, they would have all flowed out of this area. And so there's like walls of junk kind of around them. Okay. So they've disappeared. Now you can run after them if you want, or you can hold and target them once they're visible to you again.
No, I'll just yell. Yeah, Grubber's got the tooth. Get him.
Okay.
Which one?
The one that says Grubber.
They all say
No, they're all the same number.
They're all the same number. Yeah, they don't all say Grubba.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought they was just
no, it's not all the same uniform. Okay.
I guess Bryn will delay her turn to take Sathra's hand.
Okay. Do you want to hold an action? Do you want to do something?
Do you want to hold a hand action?
Grubba, she will tackle him.
Okay. All right, Sathra, what are you gonna do?
I will, holding Bryn's hand, dimension Doris in front of where the group is running to.
Okay.
I don't need line of sight necessarily. I just need to. They were going in a direction.
Okay. The only thing is, since you can't see exactly where you're going. I don't think there's any. You can find an empty space, but I think we'll just say let's split the difference. So Sathra and Bryn make athletics or acrobatics checks. I don't care which, just to not go prone when you arrive because the ground might be unstable or like because you can't see exactly where you're landing.
Okay. You get an 18 on athletics.
Hang on. Okay. 4.
Okay. All right. So you get there, and Sathra, when you arrive, you slip or you stumble, and so you are prone, but you can take the rest of your turn. So you appear on the edge of a kind of like pile of stuff. You slip. The red caps, you're in front of them, so they come. It's just like a fucking Hard Day's Night. They're like a stream of excited teenage girls running towards you. And one of them has a bloody like bag or something over his head, and he's just like, like running straight in your direction. And then right behind him is this sea of honestly just like football hooligans, but with huge iron boots and sickles, just being like, chasing to try to.
Then I stand up.
Okay.
Because I have the rest of my
jump to your feet. Okay. Do you have a bonus action that you want to take?
Bonus action. I don't think I do.
Okay. All right.
My action was getting us here, basically.
All right. November.
When all of the red caps started running, Nulf also attempted to run after them like it was some kind of cool chase
it's fun,
game.
Right? Yeah.
And I spend my turn holding Nulf back from doing that.
So Nulf is barking and like,
because
hi, everybody's running. I want to run.
There would be a lot of getting stomped by iron boots.
You notice this whole situation is being watched by pins and needles. They're up on one of the goalposts, just like watching.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dorks.
And I think probably.
Wait, didn't Bryn hold an action to tackle?
Yeah, but he's not within range.
I thought they landed in front of him.
Yeah, but not 5 feet in front of him.
Oh, okay.
Like that would, if you want to do it that close, that would risk the force damage and the like, yeah.
Occupying the same space.
Yes, I assume that it was in front of them, but not like
no, that's what
melee
I
range.
Yeah, enough to be in front of them.
So he's gonna run potentially within that time.
So November and Sosorovo, you're alone now in the weird cricket pitch, and there's the 2 birds. And I think the only other red cap, he's all alone now, is the boss, the general. And the only reason he didn't run off after everybody is that he's in, and again, we're just gonna do the gig. Imagine the seat that he's in is a combination between a baby's car seat and a lookout post for like a lifeguard. So it's 4 metal struts with like a seat on top for him to sit in, but he's been buckled in so he won't fall out, and he's trying to get the buckle open, and he's just like, God damn, stupid. And he's like hitting the button and trying to pull on it. And he's like stuck in this tennis chair, but he's buckled in like a kid. And yeah, and he wants to run out. He's just like your dog. And yeah, he wants to run out and do the thing. Wazik is stuck here. Yeah, so that's what you see. But you're not gonna do anything this turn, November?
I don't know that like running off after them when like I don't know how far they've gone. Maybe I will because they would have gone 2 movement distances, right?
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah, how fast is a red cap? Let's see. I think it's.
Oh, it depends if they're using their thing to try and use the melee attack, right?
Yeah.
Because they've got a weird charge move with their boots.
Yeah. Moves up to its speed to a creature it sees, but it's still an action, so they can't go any faster.
Yeah, so I will move.
They move 30. They move 50 feet if they have a full turn of like running.
Series? Oh, 25 and 25.
25, yeah.
I will move 30 feet in the direction that they went, like holding Nulf by the collar, just so I can like have an eye on the situation and like so they can't like just turn back the other way.
Okay. All right. So Grubba sees you. It's a perfect moment, right? This is Grubba's moment. So Grubba sees you. Grubba's holding the payload, right? The whole enemy team is behind him, and Bryn and Sath are in front of him. And so he squishes up his hideous little face and kind of does a little like juke back and forth, like, and he tries to run for it. And he's going to try to get between you. And like, this isn't really combat. I just wanted to track order. Yeah. So Bryn, if you want to make you want to try to tackle him, or Bryn and Sathar can both try to tackle him, we'll just do like an opposed athletics check.
I will just assist.
Just help. Yeah, just close the way. I wonder if, let me see. I want you to get a good mental picture of this. And I'm not sure if I have like, there's a really good piece of art in the adventure for these red caps, and I want to show it to you.
A good mental image of football hooligan red caps. Yeah, I've got it. It's in my head.
No, I mean, I feel like I got a solid.
Just let me look. Let me look.
I was surprised that trying to get the ref to call a timeout worked. That was.
I mean, that was great.
It's not this one. There's another one. There's another piece of red cap art that looks. Yeah, this one. I think it's unique to Avernus. Let me see. I can show you at least the token. Right? Like they fill the same niche as goblins in a lot of ways. But yeah, just all jaw. Its head is all jaw, and he just comes like rushing towards you, like screaming, holding a sickle in one hand and the other clutching the bloody bag.
Make the same noise as the god awful rabbits.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. They're like minions or
feels bad. Except these ones like murder people for fun.
So remind me, for grappling, I make an attack.
I found it.
No,
it's like an attack roll to grab, but it's an attack action, but you have to use your athletics. It's just make an athletics check. It's fine. And you have advantage because Sathar is going to help you.
Rad.
Right. So yeah, can you imagine how loud it would be? Like 15 red caps running at full speed.
She just like tries to hoist this red cap when it runs faster. 25. I get 225.
Woo! Okay, good. All right, let's see if he can break through. Is he going to try to juke, or is he going to try to just power through? Let me see what his better stats are. Athletics +6. Okay, all right. So thump, 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 like running towards you. He makes his body pretty small to try to plow through. Here we go. DC 25. He does not. He hits your shield like a hammer hitting a gong, and just like bong. There's this loud sound. He staggers back. His eyes are spinning in opposite directions, and he's just like, wah! And then the rest of the team who gets to go next, unless your plan is to like get him like to safety, they just are gonna jump on him.
I just want the tea. I don't care about him. I just want the package.
So Sathar, you just lean over and take the package out of his hand.
He hits the shield, like vibrates.
Yeah, so you snag it from him, and then the rest of the team piles onto him. Yeah, and they just pile on him like, ah! And they this big pile of red caps, and they're screaming and blood flying off of the pile.
I turn to Bryn while this is happening, and I go,
see, you've just got to know the rules to the...
This really didn't feel like a game with rules, but
That's the thing about games.
I was wrong.
Thing about games without rules is you can just make up the rules, and then they all just go, "Oh, okay, yeah, of course." So,
And she just sort of looks at the pile and is like, "Poor Grubba."
Yeah.
Well, he shouldn't have broken the rules.
So back at the cricket arena, back at the pitch. The chief redcap has finally managed to unbuckle himself, drops to the ground, and then he's like, all right, here we go. I'm ready. I'm going to go join in. And he goes running off, runs past you, November. And I think maybe as he's running towards you, the birds start like croaking loudly to try to get your attention. Like, hey, now's your chance. And you turn and you see Wazik like running towards you to go past you to go and see what's up. You do anything, or you let him run by? You're muted, Blue Jay.
I let him run by and then like turn to follow after, but like I'm trying to get distance between me and the birds, but I guess they're birds, so they could just. But yeah,
just follow you.
I basically take a little extra time to get that they're being like, that guy, that's the one, and then when I do, I'm like, oh, okay, and then I turn around to like go after him.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you follow. Cicerova, you gonna follow November?
Why are you running after them? They use teleport. Fine. All right. I'll just sit here and I'll think about how cool the things are. That tells me nothing.
So Cicerova just sits down on some debris. Okay. Yeah. All right. So Bryn and Sathra, as you go around the pile of red caps, you hear they start to disperse a little bit. You hear one of them shout, I got him. And we pan over and he's holding a severed arm. And then we hear, no, I got him. And somebody else has a leg. And so then those red caps start fighting over whether they get points. They're like, I get at least a quarter of a point. And they just start arguing the rules as you can walk past them. And you see their leader, you see Wazik coming like jogging up with November somewhat behind him.
I mean, our work here is done. Bryn looks at Sathra and just walks around the pile. Mm-hmm. Like, November, we got it.
Yeah.
And then starts walking towards her.
Mm-hmm.
I told you earlier about how the birds wanted one of the to dismantle the red cap, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you said something about disorder, and then they started playing this game. I mean, I figured it's probably done.
I'm looking at you and slightly behind Wazik, and I point like so that they can't see me pointing. So like, you know, hopefully my body will shield it, and I like point to like where the birds were, and then I like point to that guy, and I'm just like the psycho in the shower knife.
So you do want to kill him? Okay.
I don't know how to explain this in like not PCI language. I'm just being like, this is the guy that they want.
There's a lot of pointing. Bryn is a little bit slower, like leans into Sathra and it's like, does November actually? I think that's the person.
No. She told us that she
doesn't
wants to deal with him. Yes, no, but not. I mean,
I'm care fine. Of. I said take care of.
Take care of. She wanted to get him a cup of tea.
I was talking about a foot massage.
That's a thing that he wants.
Hang on, I think I can take care of him.
I like break off from this little group, walk over to Wazik, who's like coming up to the gang, and I go,
"Great game, very well done. Your team's very impressive." Like while the pile's happening behind me, it'll take them a while to sort out who's got what points for catching Grubba and all that. But I think Red has the legs and Blue has the arms, and it's a whole thing.
And he stands next to you and he looks at the pile and he nods and he says,
Did Do they do the sports thing where they, to differentiate the teams, they do shirts versus skins, but they actually wear people's skin?
Yeah. I assumed that it was skins and no skins, and if you're a no skin, you have to just take all your skin off.
Oh,
That works too.
So you say that, and Wazik nods and he says, "Yeah, good game. I prefer a little more stomping, but it's nice to get everybody out into the open and enjoy the good weather while we've got it."
Speaking of stomping, I wonder how many points your skull is worth. I say loudly to potentially the listening of the audience behind me. The gang trying to figure it out. Because you're very important. So this game, it's over once that's done.
And he looks at you kind of suspiciously and he says, "Are you sure you're not a red cap? I mean, you're much too tall and you don't have the appropriate headwear, but you've got the attitude down. And I like that."
I also, I appreciate that you would say so. I believe we have similar predilections, but I think the question at hand is, how's the game going to end?
And he looks, and you can see that by now they've all kind of forgotten about the game, more or less. Like they're like hanging out, and there's this pool of kind of like this dark stain on the floor, right? And they're all kind of like standing around. One of them has brought out a tray of what at first glance look like orange slices, and is handing them out to people. There's a lot of like,
the game's already
there's
over.
a lot of butt padding and like good hustle going on. And he turns back to you and he says, "I think the important thing to remember is not about who wins or loses, my prime material friend. It is about the fun that you have killing your opponents and bathing your hat in their blood." And he takes his little hat and he just adjusts it on his head. And he puts a hand on his heart and he's just like.
And I lean in. I like do the same gesture that he's doing,
Yeah.
and I lean in very close and I go,
Speaking of killing your opponents and having fun doing it, there are a group of shady-looking birds that are trying to take care of you. So maybe stomp their tiny little skulls next. Yes.
And he turns and he says, "You mean Maggie's familiars? Those little piss ants? Needles? Pins? Oh, I hate those birds. I'd wring their neck and stomp their skull if I could. But they're off limits. They belong to Maggie. Oh, and they never let us forget it."
At this point, could I have like gotten to where?
sure. Yeah, of course.
I think I try and like whisper and say, "Well, if they're off limits, they seem to think that taking you out would be within their purview or mine."
So Wazik goes, "Ah!" when you suddenly appear next to him and like, "Hi, I'm part of the whispering now."
No more whispering.
Yeah, and he's just like, "Ugh!" like startled. And he looks between the two of you, and is just kind of like, what? What's going on? Is there a conspiracy?"
I'm just saying, watch your back.
And to his credit, you see him want to do this, but he resists the urge. You see him just go like, it's a metaphor. Okay, yeah.
I think, are they still watching?
All three of you just like look over your shoulder, and we just see the two birds sitting up next to each other on a piece of debris, just looking down at you.
Can we like, for the sake of buying some time to figure out what we're going to do about the homicidal birds, would you mind pretending to be dead when I pretend to hit you in the head? Just for like a moment's peace away from them?
And he turns and looks at you. Can you make a charisma saving throw for me?
Sure. I get an 8.
And he looks up at you and he's like, "Yeah, you want me to pretend like I'm dead. Is that it? And he looks around and he's like,
I don't know why you're putting quotes around it. That's yes, actually.
I feel like this is one of those moments where he's not looking at me and I could just sickle his head off. Like
he points at himself.
Then do it. I don't care.
He points at himself. Yeah, you don't actually have disadvantage on this. You got a 13.
Oh, I don't?
But that's okay. It's still not enough.
Okay.
He points at himself with a twisted thumb and he says, getting people to pretend like you're not going to kill them and then actually killing them? That's how I became general. You can't use my own tricks on me. I'm too smart for that. And he goes to reach for his sickle like, interloper, how dare you? And I think we'll give you the week to think about whether, Sathra, you want to simply laser sword this dude's head off or not.
I really didn't want to kill him. I wanted him to be like, I'll stomp those birds.
It isn't like we're not going to come back and roll initiative, but he's like, oh, sure, that's my trick. I know all about that trick. He thinks that November is trying to take over because he doesn't know you or trust you at all. So he's getting mad. So he goes reaching for his weapon, and we'll find out. We'll find out next time if you have to fight a whole bunch of red caps or not.
I just have some creepy birds watching my every move.
Just kill.
Yeah, kill them too. Cool. All right. Well, let's do some shout outs and we'll call it a day. Blue Jay, why don't you start?
I'm Blue Jay. It was so simple to pretend to be exhausted because I'm mostly exhausted in real life too. It's great. But you can find all of the things that are exhausting me on twitter.com/bluejay_712 or the other various and sundry role-playing shows that I'm doing. One being right after this at 5 p.m. Pacific, Zweihander, on twitch.tv/Adam Coble, and one being the show I'm GMing, The Bystanders, on Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Table Story. That's it.
Cool. Thank you. Down below, it's Dave. Dave, please.
It's me. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming by and watching this the side quest episode. Where we explore the place and meet NPCs. If you'd like to follow my personal stuff, best bet is Twitter at Dave_the_human. Thanks again. Next week.
Excellent. Cool. Lauren, next.
Hello, friends. I'm Random Tuesday, or Lauren. You can find me pretty much everywhere online at Random Tuesday. I stream on my own channel, although normally I stream on Tuesdays, but tomorrow I'm going to do my taxes instead. So you know what you should do? You should go listen to the podcast that I launched.
Yeah.
It's called Shattered Sky. It's a cipher system RPG podcast. It's made with some really cool people. The first episode's only an hour. So go check that out. You can find it on Twitter or just shatteredskyrpg.com or wherever you find podcasts.
Nice. Excellent. Cool. And then last but not least, I got distracted by Elf by reading about your red cap game. It was pretty good.
I was gonna say it here, but I figured,
Yeah. Go ahead and shout it out for us.
Hi, friends. I'm Distracted Elf. You can find me at twitch.tv/DistractedElf or on Twitter at DistractedElf. I am currently playing through the Baldur's Gate series, so we're sort of near the end of Baldur's Gate 1, and we're closing in on Siege of Dragonspear fairly soon, and then moving on to 2 after that, I guess.
Cool. That's so fun. I know a lot of people are thinking about doing like Baldur's Gate playthroughs, and I'm really thankful for it because I definitely, after playing Torment on stream, I will definitely not be doing a Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 playthrough.
Torment is such a different experience.
So I'm really, really happy that other people are doing it so we can check it out. Yeah, that's definitely a thing worth looking at. So thank you for doing that, Elf, for me, because I've tuned in and watched a few of those.
You're welcome.
Cool. I think that's it for us. As always, you can find past episodes of this and other shows on our YouTube channel, Roll20 app. That's on YouTube, where YouTube videos are found. You can also find me right here every week with these friends doing this, and on twitch.tv/D&D every Wednesday for Jay Speller and Must Die. As Blue Jay pointed out, if you want to come and check out a brand new RPG campaign, Blue Jay and I, as well as some other familiar faces, are playing Zweihander on my channel, twitch.tv/Adam Coble. That's at 5 p.m. on Mondays. So if you're still looking for more RPG content, give it an hour and pop on over there and check it out. But that's it from us. We will see you next time for more Descent into Avernus and maybe a fight with some red caps. We'll see. Come on back. We'll see you then. Bye, everybody.